Hello.
Hello there.
Howdy, hey, how's it going?
All good. All
Doing well,
good.
how are you?
Not bad, hold on, let me... I just needed to mute that stream. Go ahead.
Um, I don't know a huge amount about master modes, but what do you mean by that it's taken a lot of the skill out of flying just by dropping the speed down?
No. Dropping the speed down has nothing to do... This is what I was trying to say. They've conflated one thing with another here. Dropping the speed down doesn't remove the skill from the game, right? The reason that they're dropping the skill is because the physics model, the physics engine, is not able to track collisions properly at the speeds available in the current flight model, right? So you have two gladiuses that are flying at each other at, I think it's 1235, and then they're shooting weapons at each other that are moving 1400 meters per second, right? So 1235 plus 1235 is, what's that? 2470, 2,470 meters per second that are flying at each other, and then the blaster bolt is 1400 meters a second faster than that. So it's that 4,000 meters, 4,000 meters per second for a collision. The physics engine on Star Engine, which is a derivation of Lumberyard, which itself is a derivation of CryEngine, it can't make that calculation accurately. So
Right.
the pip is inaccurate, and this is where you see a lot of the combat relevant desync in the game from, right? There's a lot of desync in the game just from server performance, because right now the game servers are running replication, right? And once we remove that from the game server and put it on its own layer, then that stuff will pick up. And then on top of that, you have the limitations in the physics engine. So combat at these speeds is just shit right now,
Right.
And that's just what it is.
So this is why
So
they're
you
trying to slow it
have
down.
to slow things
Yeah.
down. You have to slow it down. But the reason you have to slow it down is so that the physics engine can make these calculations fast enough.
Yeah.
That's the only reason, right? And a benefit from that is something that Chris Roberts has been trying to get for 7 years now, which is getting the combat more in your face, close quarters kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so that's all to the good, right? It also, right now, if when you're flying around, you let your speeds kind of get away from you because that's what combat is, and you end up shooting off in these far-flung directions that's almost impossible for anybody else to catch up to, and that kind of really draws out and lags down the pace of combat, which is something that would be nice to fix, and slower speeds will not fix but address that, right? So all of that is to the good. But what they're doing here is, well, the mistake they've made here is that the jerk profile. Do you understand what I mean when I say a jerk profile?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, so
I don't.
okay, so jerk is to acceleration as acceleration is to velocity, right? Jerk is the third derivative of position.
Right. Okay.
Yep. Then you get snap, crackle, and pop.
Right. So the jerk profile, which is to say how it jerks, strafing laterally, vertically, and forward, backwards, right? In other words, its racing performance, right, determines your ability to vie for positional dominance in a one-on-one fight. And the way the one-on-one fight plays out is determinant in how the 2-on-1 or the 2-on-2 or the 3-on-5 or whatever configuration, it determines how that's going to play out, right?
Yeah.
So what they've done with the jerk profile is essentially taken away our Formula One racers and given us Toyota Corollas, right?
Yeah.
It just doesn't have the horse to perform in the same way. Therefore, you can't really vie for positional dominance because the machine just doesn't perform that way anymore.
So what they've done is they've basically reduced the jerk profiles of all the ships then.
It's not so much a matter of reducing it, it's changing the shape of it, right? If you
Well, they've
if you
slowed it
represent
down though.
if you've not entirely, right? The forward jerk is in some cases, in a lot of cases actually, more than what it was, right? But what's important is that forward is not the vector that in a face-to-face one-on-one duel is going to get you behind your opponent into their slot.
No.
Right? Do you know what I mean by slot?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the position where you have guns on them, they do not have guns on you, and you are behind them, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that means geometrically relative to the configuration of the ship you're fighting, right? So, like for a Connie, that would be like up in their engine nacelles, right?
Yep.
You need to be able to unexpectedly, right, and surprisingly, swing around them, and so that means a lateral move,
Yeah.
right? A lateral move combined with a turn, right?
Yeah.
So those jerk profiles in combination with the, yes, very much reduced turn profiles means that the machine, the race car just does not perform the way it used to. Which means that we have fewer tools in our toolbox, and the fight simply devolves into face-tanking aim dueling.
That's exactly what it felt like last night.
Which is precisely... So, okay, let me say this. I have not had a conversation with Yogi, the developer most responsible, the lead developer for Master Modes. I had a conversation in a Discord, and then he contributed to that open conversation, right?
Right.
And in so doing, responded to an argument that I was making. So I don't want to say that I've had a conversation with him, and even more, I would not want to speak for him, right?
Yeah.
But and I'm sorry for all the prefaces, but this is a sensitive thing for me. I have a personal belief that if you can't steel man an opponent's argument, then you shouldn't be arguing against it, right? So
Yeah.
the takeaway that I had, the steel man that I would want, that I believe that I understand it to be from his position, is that face tank aim dueling, the aim duel, the skill of the aim duel, and don't get me wrong, that is a skill.
Yeah.
That is the exciting part of the dogfight for him, and that the position, the vying for positional dominance, that's less exciting. That's boring and tedious to him. That's his point of view.
Wow.
Right? So we're not going to get him to change master modes until we can either teach him how to fly. I'm sorry to put it bluntly, but you don't come to that conclusion unless you don't actually know how to fly, or simply be loud enough to let him understand how important this is to the community.
Yeah. Sorry, I had no idea that they'd actually reduced the maneuverability of the ships. Like,
No,
they were feeling the Vanguard was feeling really sluggish when I was flying in Arena Command. I was trying to figure out why.
Reduced is not strictly accurate. It can feel that way, and it should feel that way, and a lot of times because what you're trying to do has been reduced. But the changes to the jerk profile in master modes implies, or maybe requires, a different flight approach, right? A flight approach that keeps you as close to the target as possible, so that you are suffering as minimal of a weapons damage fall off as possible, while maintaining target time, pip on target, for as much as possible, and getting as many shots off as possible. There is a skill there, right? And if you're trying to fly the way you would fly in a fight for positional dominance, you are going to suffer in performance unduly because you are not flying the optimal. There is an optimal way to fly in master modes, right? But to me, that is, even if you optimize for that, that is boring, right? That is just aim tank face dueling. There's no chess to it, right? Because the way you win a fight for positional dominance is you force your opponent into a mistake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that means you have to trick him. You have to fake him out, right?
Yeah.
The way you win an aim duel is you just don't make any mistakes. And there's no such thing as forcing your opponent into a mistake. right?
Yeah,
So there's no psychology there. There's no chess. We're down to checkers.
Yeah, one's chess,
Yeah,
and one is two gunslingers basically facing off against each other, and just they're both gonna, and shoot, and that's it. And it's whoever gets the best target. The skill is just issuing the quick draw. There's no actual tactical combat element to it.
Bingo.
I really don't like that.
This is what Avenger 1 was getting at last night, is basically all the, as you've just said, all the toolbox that he has to use to outperform anybody else has been taken away in it's just now point and click in the right place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm all for them slowing things down, but if slowing it down comes with them removing the fact that you're actually vying for positional dominance as opposed to just who can be the most accurate when aiming, then no.
Okay, so, but I do want to go back to, this is not an impossible hurdle.
Right.
No, it's not.
If we come together as a community, if we have these kinds of conversations and we put those conversations in front of the devs, Star Citizen has been very, very good about taking player input. Sometimes they misinterpret it, sometimes they take the wrong message, sometimes it just doesn't go very well. But even in those cases, they've been very, very good about playtesting and course correcting.
Right.
I'm very concerned in this scenario because my understanding, and I could be wrong here, I don't think I am, but my understanding of the lead dev's take on this is, I mean, he is driving towards an idea that something is good when it is not. In those prior cases, it was, here's something we'd like to try, tell us whether or not it's good. Right? So it's an entirely different context in those prior changes.
He's dictating what's good, not asking the community.
I wouldn't want to say dictating. He has an idea of what he thinks is fun to him, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Right, and that's understandable.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that 100%, but he is out of touch with the community by having that opinion. That doesn't make it an invalid opinion. It makes it a great opinion for a different game. Right?
Yeah.
That's the way I see this. And I would not want to demonize him at all for this. It's just, please go somewhere else.
You need if you're taking that mentality, this game is supposed to be as simulation like as possible, and you're trying to bring an arcade element into it.
Yes.
Yes. So one of you's playing the ultimate sniper combat thing, which is all about tactically being in the right place at the right time, biding your time, trying to get everything, and he's playing Fortnite.
Bingo. That's exactly it.
I feel like the best course of action for CIG at this point would just be to come out and say, hey, we got it wrong, and push master modes back to 3.24, maybe 3.25 if there is one, 4.0.
Oddly,
so they have time to fix it.
Surprisingly, I disagree with that statement.
If they release it,
let's see master modes right now, exactly as planned. Maybe not right now. Let them do what polish they need to do from now to 3.23 to get what they think should be the correct version of master modes. Let's see that, and then let's see the community reaction to it.
Yeah.
It won't be the first time we've suffered through lousy, or not lousy, but like a poorly thought out dev idea.
Right.
Sure.
And it won't be the last.
And that's the whole point of open development, right? And there's nothing here that can't be corrected or recovered or put on the right track, right? And saying that, let's go ahead and just say out loud, there is so much in master modes that's correct, right? You slowing things down to fix those technical issues, the mechanics that are coming in that will emphasize group play over solo play. Star Citizen is a game that you should play with at least one other person all the time, no matter what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
The idea of being alone out there in a universe as big as Star Citizen, that should be really damn scary. It should be really damn scary. But
And if you have no friends, join an org.
exactly, right? This should be a game that compels you into making friends.
Why do you think I started streaming?
Bingo, right? So there are so many things that Master Modes is doing right, and credit given for that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But bring the skill back. That's the only thing we're trying to say. So,
Yeah.
going back to the point I was trying to make before we got off on all these tangents, if we're going to be effective, we need to not only have these conversations, but put these conversations in front of the face of the dev.
Yeah.
So,